Hi everyone. My name is Donna. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm facilitating this game of Be Seeing You by Tanya Floker, a game of independence, control, and freedom, um, inspired by mostly The Prisoner, but I guess some other TV shows like Utopia and Stalker as well. Um, all great shows. Uh, Highly recommended. Last week we had our kind of our intro to our prisoner, a tour of this mysterious village, and a couple of episodes. So let's hear from our other players, a brief introduction, and then we'll jump into episode 3. Dan, do you want to go first?
Sure. Hello, my name is Dan Brown. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm super excited to wrap up our Be Seeing You. I'm a huge fan of The Prisoner. Started watching it when I was a teenager, and have been kind of obsessed with the stories that it can tell, and I'm really, really happy with where this game is going.
My name is Mario. Use they them pronouns. I haven't seen The Prisoner, but it's on my watch list, and I will start binging it starting tomorrow. So I'm also super excited to set a standard, and then can be disappointed by how the actual show is compared to our game. Yeah.
Definitely not. Definitely not. Okay, awesome. So as we jump into episode 3, I guess just to remind ourselves a little bit of the procedure. As we begin an episode, the player with the administrator role introduces things, introduces to the administrator. There's a new administrator every episode. And then selects one of our remaining episode prompts to set the initial stages of the plot. And then the player playing the residents and village roles will introduce a new location and perhaps a new location, perhaps a new resident of the village, but maybe using elements we've already created. And then the player, as the prisoner, will shake it all up. So Mario, do you want to introduce us to your new administrator and select an episode prompt?
Okay, then you had. Oh, see, there is my first mistake. I forgot to open Pinterest to find a picture for them. I think this time we can. Just 1 second. I'm there. This time the administrator is a bit of an elderly woman. One of those that makes you question whether you were doing everything right in your lifetime, because they seem to be fitter than you. Which is I mean, could be a goal, but is also on a level that is very irritating, because you shouldn't be able to move as agile and in this age. Also, why isn't the new administrator retired yet? It's just like nothing seems to make sense in the terms we like in the terms the other administrators worked, right? They were all like very, very posh, very much in control and everything. and they just look like what you would expect from a leader of such a community. But somebody somehow decided that this episode we start with a cozier vibe, just to make sure that like what is going to happen feels more off than it does usually, which is hard to beat, I guess.
Awesome. And I think you have 2 episode prompts left to choose from.
That is true. And I think this time seems to be the perfect one. The perfect episode for the prisoner to hatch a plan to escape from the village and go back to their old life.
Okay. Challenge accepted. Okay, awesome. Any any ideas for a specific location or resident to introduce from the start, Dan, or do you want to play it by ear as things develop?
I had this idea that maybe there was an amphitheater, and usually the residents get together to put on plays in the amphitheater, and occasionally it's used kind of as a gathering space for announcements or things like that, but it's mostly used as a place where the residents put on performances. It's an outdoor amphitheater.
Okay. So perhaps, if it sounds all right, the prisoner has been roped into the production.
Oh yeah, I like
Yeah.
that.
And I wonder what you feel if this is like a very old school values Greek play. So like everyone has masks, and it is, there's a chorus, a nameless chorus of residents there as well.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
And the director is number 58. The director of the play, and they wear kind of a standard uniform, but they have a director's kind of scarf and a beret, and they are earnest. They take this very seriously. They've got kind of the vibe of a high school drama teacher
who's taking this way too seriously. Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is like the most important play that's ever been produced.
Awesome. So how is this play going? Maybe some of our previous residents are, named members of the cast.
Yes. Oh, I like that administrator picture. Yeah, in fact, the librarian is there, and he's consistently getting his lines wrong, which is sort of ironic given that it's a classic Greek play. Number 17 is there, serving in one of the young female roles, and number 5 is not in the play, but she's constructing a set for for the play. So we see her kind of in the back, kind of nailing some stuff together. And maybe that hammer looks very tempting to the prisoner as a potential weapon, but she's in the back there kind of putting stuff together.
I think I think a spot of sabotage might be in order. I think over the course of a shorter period of time, I'm going to break one of the or weaken one of the elements of the Deus Ex Machina that will descend to bring the mortals to heel at the end of the show. I think my intention here is to create chaos that might cover an escape attempt.
I think number 58 is constantly trying to get you to focus on the production. He's always sort of doing that thing where he kind of like grabs your arm and moves you to where you need to be to get the blocking right. He's always standing back doing one of those things to try and make sure that everything looks just as it is. And he's shouting things like action and let's take it from the previous scene and things like that.
I'm going to be a very difficult actor because I am going to, or be a bad role player. I'm going to be saying stuff like, that is not what my character would do or say quite a lot.
Look, numbers. Did we decide your number 6?
Yeah, I think we
number 6. Your enthusiasm and your passion is incredibly charming. However, because you missed the table read last week, that happened before you got here, you just need to kind of go with the flow and just believe that we have your character's best interests in mind as we move forward. Okay, so what I need you to do is stand on your mark and say your lines when it's time.
Well, maybe I can see a reason for my character to do these obviously terrible things, both for the city and for myself. I'll see what I can bring myself to bear.
Please, that's all I'm asking. Just okay.
Bear the unbearable.
Everyone ready? Eyes on me, and go. And I think it's a disaster. Most people know their lines, but there are a few folks like the librarian who are still sort of holding the book and murmuring their lines without really sort of projecting things like that. Some folks are speaking too quietly and the sound of the set being constructed is drowning them out, so we can't hear them. So he's there, he's earnest. 58 is there, earnest, and sort of like trying to see the best in everyone. So he's handing out compliments, saying good job, things like that.
And maybe I'll encourage the librarian to that he might have an easier time of things if he speaks his line in the original Greek. It might just be the best thing for his fluency, right? English is such a clunky language.
Yeah. Maybe at that moment I noticed the administrator coming and I say, we have an audience. You're just in time for our dress rehearsal, number 2. Would you care to sit and observe?
I to think like what we see on screen is like we see a lot of you working on the play, and then we have like a quick cut just away. And the moment the camera comes back, all of a sudden the administrator is like in the middle of the picture. Nobody knows how she got there, right? And then, oh yes, yes. I have high expectations of your play. You know, there might be some donors present tonight, and we wouldn't want to disappoint them, right, my dear?
Of course not. Of course not. I'm confident everyone here will work just as hard as they can to make this the best version of this play that's ever been put on.
Sorry, my internet connection is pretty bad right now. I didn't got your last sentence there.
Oh, is my audio okay?
I think it's on my part.
Okay.
You all froze for a sec, so
All I said was I'm confident everyone involved, and I look very specifically at number 6, will do their best to make this the best version of this play that's ever been put on the stage. And maybe 58 kind of melts into and starts working with individual actors.
that is very good to hear. We wouldn't want that we have to resort to a budget cut for next year's play. You know, the committee can be quite harsh when it comes to that. And I would hate to have to do that to you.
Of course, we will make sure that the committee is as they were last year with our production of The Music Man. We will make sure that they are beyond excited.
Mm-hmm. And then she turns to 6 and says, "Oh, number 6, I hope you feel quite all right. And you moved in just fine like the others did after that long of a period. I would want to say, since some of our donors might be here tonight, this might have an effect on your standing within this community for the whole next year. So I wish you the best of luck tonight."
Well, I certainly hope that tonight's performance will have me remembered fondly in your company.
Oh, we shall hope so. And then she just I think there's somebody always on the administrator's side at this point. And this time holding an ashtray so she can empty her pipe before just disappearing. And we see the person following her around, just like running over the place, and because the administrator's already gone. Do you think you can 58 get some improvements done with the play, or will the show tonight be pretty much the same than what we've seen?
What what sort of improvements did you have in mind?
I mean, the loudness, since it's like we don't use microphones, and so
I'm training all of the actors in the best dramatic arts so that they can project their voices across this lovely amphitheater. I have no concerns about the audio in this amphitheater, the ability for us to carry sound. But you've just given me a good idea. Clearly, we need to include more sound effects. I wonder if we can find someone who's an expert in making unique sounds with some of the materials we have on hand. We'll need things like thunderstorms and some sort of divine intervention sounds. We need the sounds of horses, of course, the sounds of warfare. There's so many things in this play that we could use some sounds for.
God forbid the audience should use their imagination.
Oh, yes. No, you're absolutely right. We want this to be as visceral an experience as, but wait a minute. You were being sarcastic. I could tell. You are a sharp one, 6. I wonder if we have you in the right role. Well, it's too late to make any changes now.
Well, I'm sure it will be all right on the night. Isn't that what they say?
It never ceases to amaze me how the production just comes together the last minute. I think in this moment, a band shows up, like a band of people with sort of percussion instruments and things like that. And one of them says, "You were looking for people to make sound effects." And so now they start rehearsing. They're creating a little bit more cacophony and chaos amidst all the rehearsing and the set construction and things like that. We're giving you lots and lots of cover, number 6.
I'm going to make a special request, even though it's completely anachronistic. We should go the full 1812 route and get some canon in here, right?
That may be a little challenging. In a previous play, we attempted to recreate an ancient war, and we were forbidden from using anything explosive. So
it sounds like the administrators don't appreciate your true artistic talent, number 58. I mean, drama cannot be chained.
Look, I do have a vision. I do. You are absolutely right. But part of being an artiste is working within the constraints that exist. And sometimes those constraints are we just don't have the materials at hand. And as you say, we need the audience to use their imagination. And if we can do other things to get them to come on the ride with us, then maybe it's okay we don't have true explosive sounds and cannons.
So what do you think? Do we cut to the performance of the night, or do we feel like this is like maybe the first segment of the episode, or do we want to kind of close out the segment with the performance?
I like the idea of coming to the performance. I mean, what is it? Is the performance itself going to be interesting, or is sort of the curtain call, like the sort of closing, the ending of the show, going to be more interesting?
I mean, I think certainly in my head, the prisoner's escape plan is kind of on that pivotal moment of the Deus Ex Machina, hurtling out of the
nice
out of the skies.
I want to give you something for that, because usually this is an autark village, right? There's nobody coming in or leaving, at least not that the prisoner would know of. But this time, just in a similar fashion, just like the masks some use in the play. There are a couple of people in the audience where they which are clearly way too well dressed, and they wear golden masks, so they have to be outsiders. And we've probably seen like a special car, like a
Okay,
limousine or
yeah.
something, arrive with them.
This is the
And
committee,
those are the
right?
donors I referred to earlier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
So maybe everyone has shown up in masks to this
Yeah.
play.
Yeah.
Only the donors, I guess. Oh, maybe everyone. Yeah,
Everybody.
I don't.
That is very
Okay.
prisoner. Like everything gets really surreal and creepy, and everybody's wearing a mask.
Just give me David Lynch vibes a little bit.
That's awesome.
Um,
What is the Deus Ex Machina in this particular play, do we think?
I mean, I think it's like this gurney with these kind of chariot wheels on it, and maybe like these like trumpets coming out of them, which are just hooked into a sound system. And it's really just a kind of something that looks kind of chariot of the gods, like for someone in that role to descend to the stage and just declare the resolution. Yeah.
And it's in fact, the chariot is propelled in the mythology by lightning. And so there are these sort of cardboard, sort of silver painted cardboard lightning streaks on the side, but we have sparklers. I don't know if you know what like sparkler things
flywheels, or
yeah,
yeah.
that kind of like that are sort of behind it. So it looks like sparkling lightning is coming out. It looks really cheap and silly, but 58 is very proud of it, the effect.
What about I add a detail on that? Because I think since this is like high-tech surveillance, and we established that in previous episodes, what about like the whole stage and set and everything is like a lot of like cardboard and stuff like that, very like low cost. But then there's like this out of the place light show with like lasers and shit. Because that's what the village has anyway, right?
Yeah, and none of it makes any sense in the context of the
No,
play, but 58 was
no.
just happy to use it. So
I mean, if you didn't use it, your budget would have been cut next year, because use it or lose it, right? Organizational dysfunction at its finest, right?
Yeah.
totally.
Okay. So do you want to get a kind of an idea of how the show goes before everything comes crashing down? Maybe like kind of paint a scene
Yeah.
of the show.
I don't know. I'm trying to think. Like, I feel like 58 is in the wings watching the show. It's not much better than the rehearsal. Though actually, maybe it is shockingly good despite all the kind of cheap effects and things. Like the drama comes across really, really well. And in fact, it's to us, the audience, it's better than we would have thought it was going to be, given what we saw in the rehearsal time. But again, surreal, what we see sort of the camera pan across the audience whose gilded masks are kind of illuminated by all the different effects and the lasers and all of that stuff. And we just see kind of their masks illuminated, but they're utterly emotionless. So there's no clapping, there's no sort of we don't see the audience actually engaged. It's just kind of this wall of humorless, emotionless masks observing this thing, and we just see kind of the reflections of the light show there. The band, even though it came across as this little jug band, this little sort of ragtag, not very good instruments, we hear this swelling kind of music and score going on. And it's sort of, again, completely unexpected in terms of both the production values, but also the fact that the audience appears to be completely detached.
That is
We got
very
Hans Zimmer
good.
in at the last moment to orchestrate.
John Williams shows up,
Yeah.
also retired.
Cool. That's what happened, right? He went to the
Actually,
village.
I want to hear. I think number 2 probably has a special mask, like a distinctive mask. Don't you think, Mario? Or does her mask look like everybody else's mask in the village?
Oh, I think oh yeah, I think number 2 has the has the mask of like a golden eagle, um with like those little glasses, the opera glasses. They're like just implemented in the mask.
Okay.
And it's clear that like there's no hiding from the administrator's watchful eyes.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah. Um, the eagle is always watching you, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, I think maybe it happens early. Maybe that's the part of the shock, and also like I don't want the person who is going to be in the chariot to get hurt, right? So I think I've set it up to be sabotage, in the middle of the second act or whatever, and
Mhm.
and I think the chariot like swings down just with a crash, and all of the fireworks go off. Maybe they've been enhanced, from the versions we saw earlier, and maybe one of those like flares goes perilously close to the committee sitting in their golden masks in their ivory balcony tower, right? And chaos erupts, um,
Oh,
and
but the chaos is that one of them lets go of their champagne glasses, and we hear, like, despite like the full-on orchestra and everything, we hear the glass shatter, right? And that is the moment when everything went.
yeah. And I think like the obviously like everyone is masked and robed, and I think I have like shoved someone from the chorus onto my mark, and then just like I exit stage left, I guess is the technical term, right? And maybe it's running to those vehicle you mentioned earlier, where the donors, the committee had arrived on.
You saw your opportunity and you
Yeah,
went
yeah.
for it.
And the moment you arrive, or you want to
No,
have a
no.
scene with the chase.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm trying to escape, right? But I'm happy for us to kind of wrap it up in such a way that we narrate how this escape attempt fails, right? How I'm brought back to the village.
At the moment you lay hands on the limousine's door, all of the sudden the administrator appears with a glass of champagne, uh, at least half full, I'd say, uh, and she lays her hand on yours and says, "Ah, I didn't know you were having such a nice car."
I wonder if prisoners made it away. They've gotten in the limousine.
Oh, and she is in the back seat.
She's driving.
Oh, she's driving.
So
Oh yes, that is
Somehow the prisoner's gotten a mask of one of the sort of important people and ends up in the limousine and is like, drive. And they're driving, and he pulls off his mask and he sort of takes this deep sigh of relief as he's watching the village disappear behind him. And then slowly the prisoner realizes they haven't turned around, they haven't made a U-turn or anything, but it's just they're like driving, they're pulling right back into the village. Like it's like a Mobius strip again. Like it just sort of ends up right back there. And the driver turns around and pulls off the mask, and it's number 2.
That is so good.
Yeah. Okay.
And number 2 says, it was a cunning plan you had there.
You almost missed the final act. Nice.
Yeah, and I think the next cut we see is maybe number 58 looking nervously at his watch, as waiting for number 6 to arrive on his mark for the kind of next scene from it, you know, and he arrives, right?
Right, he's there. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Oh yeah, time is off as well. Yeah, it can't possibly be in the same timeline happening. Like, yeah, so good. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to lower my independence by 1, which is the current surveillance score, and I'm going to up surveillance to 2, and then we can go to segment B. The plan escalates based on how the last segment wrapped up, ramp up the mood, thoughts, feelings, physical changes, and double down on new measures. The forces aimed at the prisoner should be turned up to maximum through this segment. I don't know. Do we want to go? I mean, do we want to go through Act 2 of the play and see what happens, or do we kind of allied to maybe the after party or something?
I like the after party thing. Mara, did you have something else in mind?
I just like to have a scene where like the limousine stops behind the theater, right? And the administrator opens the door and lends you a hand to step out of the limousine, right? And all of a sudden, like the camera has this wild thing. It's like a one-shot scene where the camera is just like constantly moving around the limousine and now following you towards the stage. And all of a sudden, there's this immense cut. Like the lighting, everything is way different, and we see like this massive spotlight and the prisoner standing in the center of the stage.
Nice.
Like sweating, and yeah, and then there is a cut. It's just like showing like how it went wrong before the next scene. Yeah, but then after party it's just fine.
Yeah. Okay. So at the after party, have we lost the masks? Is or still in masks? Okay, yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
No, but just to see the how disappointed number 2 is, she gives you a slightly different mask than you had before. There's just like a tiny little downgrade to it.
Maybe it looks the same, but we get a glimpse now of the scene from her point of view, and those opera glasses, like the mask is transparent.
Oh, nice.
She
can see everything.
Oh yeah, okay.
I had this idea where maybe what was her name? What was her number? 17 comes up to number 6 and says, I thought you were excellent. in the play?
Study drama in your youth, I'd say, if you weren't already so young.
All of the drama that I've ever studied has been right here under the tutelage of 58. He's an excellent director, wouldn't you say?
He is certainly the best director I have played under.
I sense that the play did not go in the direction that you were hoping it would.
I was hoping for a little bit more freedom in my artistic choices and a little bit less of a Deus Ex Machina recovery.
Would it surprise you to learn that you are not the first who has sought to expand their role in the play, in a play?
Might that be yourself?
Oh, I couldn't say.
Well, I understand completely. And why exactly are you here?
You've made an impression, 6, and there are some of us who also like to explore, let's say, improvisation and freedom in our dramatic arts, and we meet regularly, and I wondered if you would care to join us as we explored improvisation.
Well, an independent troupe would sound like just a ticket. I would be incredibly interested in such an endeavor.
Somebody next to you guys is reading the evening edition of the newspaper, where there's like the big leading article about being a good actor and a decent citizen by knowing your role in detail or in great detail or something like that.
I see we're the reviews for our play are out already. I wonder what they thought of your performance.
I wonder what kind of editorial viewpoint there'll be on certain aspects of it. And I will, tear one out of the dispenser and look for, like any actor after opening night, look for the look for the paragraph where I am no doubt mentioned.
I wonder if 17 has arranged for a secret message to be embedded in the review itself to tell you the location, time and location of
or
the
maybe like a crossword puzzle, like 17 across,
Yeah.
6 down kind of thing.
Yes. Oh, that's so good.
I just imagine that like the newspaper has like an overly specific rating of every actor's performance, like a 0.7563 rating or something like that. Yeah, like that.
Like
I just wonder if
I was wondering if maybe it's like completely over the top. It's like a psychometric evaluation of each actor's role. Like if there's a LARP chart, with all the things that you take into account when you're playing something like that for drama, and like it's really in depth. And who can gainsay such attention to detail, right? That's the
yeah, that there certainly is demand for like over specific evaluation in this setting. Definitely. I just wonder if given that there was some sort of like escape attempt, uh if we see for the very first time the administrator struggle a little bit since there were the donors present. If there was some sort of a, like a tense situation, we it would have been in retrospect, I guess. That's just something that came up right now because we did change the rating, right?
So at the end of segment A, we pushed independence back down to 3 and surveillance up to 2. So that's the result of the escape attempt.
Okay, exactly. That's
and I think maybe we see a little vignette of maybe the administrator in a meeting with the committee, or maybe we now see the one person from the committee just following her around, like taking notes and being very particular about shadowing her in her job.
oh yeah, very much. They're like, oh yeah, we'd like to have a tour, and then like just particularly having everything written down. Yeah, that is pretty cool. So the administrator actually, like during this scene, somehow tries to avoid you just to not get another bad review by the committee. But at some point, they very specifically want to introduce you or want to be introduced to you, and they say, "Oh, you must be number 6. Your rating has been such and such, which is a little bit below average."
Only a little.
I mean, you had an important part, so there was plenty of time to shine. Yet, we hoped our expectations were a little higher, and you weren't able to meet them. I hope we don't have to downgrade your housing for the next year.
Well, you do what you must, and I will reciprocate.
Because could it be that your rooftop garden takes away too much time for you privately, and therefore you've been neglecting your duties towards the community, such as practicing your role?
I think I do deserve a few more practice rounds of golf, but it's very difficult to schedule. So whatever you can do to help me um, get in a few extra foursomes, perhaps there'll be another competition soon. So yes, I would very much like to improve my game.
Okay, I think I don't want to take drastic measures since we're so fond of all of our citizens. But I suggest that you do not go to the library as often, and you probably skip the maze. Um, let's say only bi-weekly attending of the hedge maze festivities. And I make sure I have someone helping you with your golf lessons?
Well, I must admit, the library has been a terrible disappointment to me. I do like to browse.
She
I do
gives
like
you
the freedom to browse.
she gives you like a very dark look, even from behind the mask.
But then, if the librarian gets his wish, we shall all be reading Greek. Maybe that's the way forward. Mutual incomprehensibility is the way forward.
Yeah, that is something I can't understand. Yeah, I'm with you there. I expected that just everybody has a very basic interest into the Latin language, since that is the very cradle of our modern society. But somehow there was this obsession about the Greek language. And you say the librarian had a part in this change.
Well, I mean, what have the Greeks ever done for us? Democracy, philosophy? Those are not the values of this community.
I know. I mean, we're post-democratic, really.
A good tyrant, that's what this community needs.
Who gives you such God damn it. I lost one. Who gives
Flashes
you
of
such
inspiration?
yeah, flashes of it. Pretty yeah, that is good.
Well, you, my dear administrator, of course. All of the number twos have been very instructive during my time here. I have learned about your obsession with control, with compliance, with surveillance.
Flattery doesn't work with me. See, even though you want to give me credit for it, there's something just a little bit too vulgar about the way you have been inspired. That is just not what I've been told. I learned it the old ways, one could say.
Well, here was I thinking I wasn't flattering you at all, but that just shows the difference in our worldviews. I will try to be more directly insulting next time.
Maybe at this point we even see like the newspaper changing and having added your most recent insult to your behavior, just like we've seen in the first two.
Yeah.
Yes, episodes, right? Yeah.
And Dan, do you wanna? Is there any onlookers, any comments to add from the other residents in this segment?
I'm looking at under the behavior list, residents' emotions run wild as the oppressive atmosphere is unbreathable, and institutionalized alien reality emerges in the village, shaping the prisoners' own thoughts to betray them. Not entirely sure what all that means, but I do wonder if during this confrontation we start to see hints, foreshadowing of the village's security systems. And I'm open to some ideas. In the TV show, there's this thing called the rover, which Mario is essentially this giant white balloon. It's like half again as high as a person, and it sort of bounces after people who have committed wrongs against the village. But I was thinking here, maybe it's a drone, and it shines a very bright light on someone. So I'm imagining 6 and number 2 are talking, and at some point this drone kind of just comes buzzing by and shines a light very brightly on some other resident, and all the other residents kind of freeze in their place, while this one is then somehow the light kind of controls it, if that's okay with you all, if I'm not breaking the line or a veil there. And kind of the light essentially drags this person away as 6 and number 2 are talking. Does that sound okay? Any concerns or any embellishments to that?
I like that. But that is, I don't know about Donna.
Yeah, I think it's ramping up the surreality a little bit much, but I do like it. So it's like the when we saw number 6 come back in on stage, there was this spotlight that was kind of, you're just dragging him on, and it's almost like we now understand exactly what was happening there.
Right.
Yeah.
And so this resident gets dragged away, and once that person is gone, like all the other residents kind of just continue about their business. I think, I don't know where your conversation was happening, but I sensed it was just sort of in public somewhere in the village. So people are just walking by you as you are having this more heated conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I don't know if the audience sees any hints of stress. I'm sort of picturing maybe 6 is glancing at these folks as they're walking by, and he sees sort of beads of sweat on them. So they're trying to act normal, but they're really feeling the pressure.
And not just the residents who were associating with the person who got dragged away, but like everyone.
Right.
Is paranoid that
everybody.
Next.
Yes.
Do we do you think that's a good place to close segment B? I feel like there was like a very defiant, although kind of a little bit veiled, but very defiant kind of.
Oh yeah.
And I think that that kind of raptor spotlight thing is a good way of narrating how the prisoner is put in his place. So yeah, based on that, we would increase independence by 1 and increase control by 1. And I'm just looking at the time. Do we want to take a break here mid-episode and come back?
Yeah, sounds good.
Say 10 minutes. Yeah, okay.
Sure.
Okay. So I'm the prisoner player, and after segment B, control increased, so I will select a narrative element to introduce. And I think maybe this plays into a little bit into the fact that the administrator was under pressure from the committee. But how do you feel if I select the prisoner becomes the administrator for a time as the narrative element to introduce?
Sorry, where is that?
On the control panel tab in the kind of purple surveillance section. in episode
in the
3.
surveillance section.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. And I've got an idea for that actually. I think
Okay.
that is pretty good.
So Mario, do you want to like play? Maybe the committee is still here, or there's some kind of control element. Maybe number one is like being hinted at a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, I think since we just had the control panel, I think we just see this wall of screens with a bunch of buttons. And two of the drones we saw like hovering in front of the screen, and then like just two hands typing something on a keyboard. And all of a sudden we see the administrator holding her ear as if she would have received a call or something like that, nodding 2 times, and then saying, "Congratulations. I thought you thought some punishment would have been appropriate for your behavior tonight. But apparently we're not doing it all the old ways anymore. And now I hereby announce you the new administrator." And you get like just a little, it's like it's just like a little pin or a needle or something with just like this little black dot that she takes off her blazer and gives to you, or like actually attaches to whatever you're wearing, I guess.
And I think I scoff at this. It's like it's a bizarre joke. And I look around at the other residents and see how they react to this, because we're in the middle of the after party, right?
I think those who have seen something like this happen before start to sweat even more and be like super quiet and super stiff.
And yeah, I think
Well,
I guess
no,
I will.
sorry, that was Dan's call, right? Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's
sorry.
quite all right. No, I was going to go in the exact same way. Let everyone is now deferential to you, the new number 2. Yeah.
And I presume you'll leave the way of all previous number 2s now. What do I call you? Now that I'm the administrator.
That hasn't been clarified. For now, I think you can just call me number 104.
104. I would have guessed something like Marjorie, but names, they're so unnecessary, right?
Indeed, they are. The guidebook says that this egocentrical behavior of naming yourself in an extravagant way is contradictory to our village's values. Therefore, we came up with the numbering system, which has been proven to be very effective.
Well, be seeing you. I'm off to my office. I've got a lot of work to do. Can't spend it palling around with people drinking champagne all night.
That is your call to make.
Isn't it, though? And, well, I mean, I presume I do know where number 2's house is or office is, so I will start over there.
And as you approach, the building, the doors automatically open for you. And I think maybe in a previous episode, we had seen you try and go into this building before, and the doors would not budge.
I have to ring the bell or have it opened for me.
Right. And as you get to the control room where the number 2 is, it's sort of arranged like the Starship Enterprise, right? There's kind of a captain's chair in the middle, and there's people all around on different monitors and things. It's sort of I'm kind of picturing just a big kind of control room with monitors, but they're sort of hanging at angles, so you sort of have to look up like that to see them. And I would imagine you would be startled. Well, you would be what's the right word? Sort of not surprised, but shocked that every angle of the village is being monitored.
And I think I will kind of start a sequence of what I would consider, arbitrary orders to the staff, or the control panel, like to show me the location of number 77, or to show me the interior of number 6's house, or something like this, and just see how far I can push it before they suddenly take control back.
They every time a command comes, a voice just says acknowledged, screen beta 4, and the screen changes and shows you whatever you asked for. You see that number 6's house is no longer number 6's house, but it says 104 on it, and the former administrator has taken up residence there. She's sitting there reading a book. The book is the play that you all just put on.
She's sitting on the rooftop. Yeah, absolutely. In a
Love it.
garden.
In a
Yeah,
deck
yeah.
chair. And after playing with the kind of limits of this in a kind of normal way, I'm going to direct that I be patched through to number 1 for a debrief.
Love it. I don't know. I feel like we should all contribute to what number 1 is.
I'm not sure if in that kind of hierarchy you actually can talk, or like a line would be established this way. I just think the only way you can talk to number 1 is number 1 calls you. Oh, well, I think that is just like. But if you think different, I'm happy to go there.
I mean, I like the idea that you can't call number 1.
Or despite the command, like I just get it just rings out, or there's an engaged tone, or somehow.
I like a busy signal.
Yeah, busy. Yeah.
It's the same. Like if you want to call up a monitor that is outside the village border, you always there's something like busy or like some lame ass excuse.
So I'm gonna. I guess I'm going to. I don't know how long this is going to last, so I'm just going to do something off the cuff. I'm going to narrow down my attention to like one side of the village, and I'm going to identify like a random resident, maybe maybe our poor maintenance worker who's like out fixing something on the docks. Um, and I'll say, please send all available security forces to apprehend number 13. And kind of sorry, go with that.
I was going to role play
Okay,
that
yeah.
they you hear this voice say acknowledged, and a couple of the screens kind of where did you say this was happening? At the docks?
At the docks or something
Yeah, I
out
like
out
it.
of one side of the
Right.
the
So I
village.
mean, it's open ocean. Like there's just no. It just looks almost like a painting, like it's just open ocean, and he's there unloading supplies from a supply ship, and you see the drones sort of converge on him, and the lights shine down. Even though it's bright daylight, the light is so bright it stands out. Everyone else around him freezes, and it starts drawing him away, sort of, and you see it sort of move off of one monitor, and then he shows up on the next monitor, and then the next monitor.
And like as all of the kind of security forces kind of accumulate around him and bring him back, I think we see I'll still say number 6. We still see like me in that crowd and then slowly drifting off to that supply boat to squirrel myself aboard to be kind of brought back to wherever these supplies came in from.
So you've left the administrator's building,
yeah,
to go onto this ship
to escape. um,
I think we actually see it work to a point where all of the sudden, even though you go like full speed ahead, the boat moves backwards. And once at a dock, oh yeah, no, you find once at a dock, we see a drone coming and taking you away. The next scene is you're finding yourself in the control room just at the moment before calling the drones upon number 13 and running outside of the building.
okay, yeah.
And everybody is like, what's different with the situation is like that staff at the room is like giving you a side eye every once in a while. Just waiting if you would how you would react this time.
Yeah, I think that's a great place to stop. Dan, anything to add to that?
No, I like that. I wonder if we see any more of the original number 2. So are we closing up this episode?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm just wondering, you had this if we maybe could have a scene, if somebody has an idea, of course, otherwise we wrap it. But what if there is like a second attempt that gets you closer towards like leaving the area, because there's sometimes something you tested with your escape in the limousine that now all of a sudden is relevant for your second escape plan. So we could see that you had this like big plan all along, and you were smarter than we initially saw on screen until now.
Like maybe this time you go back to the ship, but you immediately go to the captain's, like the pilot's area, because you're like, well, I'm not gonna leave it up to someone else to drive me, right? Because last time that happened, it turned out to be number 2.
And this time you pull out a golden needle, just like the black needle you got for being number 2. You pull out one of the golden needles that we now remember. You had something where there was like a drop of blood in your finger, when you sat into the limousine, and there was like the golden pin, and you pocket that, and you can now use it to override some security measures on the boat. But yeah.
Okay, but it doesn't work. But maybe I'm much further out to sea by the time some extraordinary measures are taken.
You
And
see
maybe
a
we
dock.
see number 104 back in control, right?
Right. Yeah. You see a dock in the distance and you make for it and you're right back where you started.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And when we fall and you sort of come into the village, you're bewildered. How did I get back here? And you go to the place that was supposed to be number 4's house or 104's house that had been your house. And it says number 6 again. And you look down and you realize you are still number 6.
Okay. Yeah.
Episode ends.
Okay. Awesome. So I will lower independence by 2 because that is the current surveillance score, and surveillance goes up to 3. And now that means that no escape attempt is possible until independence is higher than surveillance. So, I've ruined it for everyone now, Okay.
By the way, guys, I'm entertaining myself with these references to the village. So if anything feels like off to you, just stop me. So.
No worries. Okay. Okay, awesome. So that's end of episode 3. Go on to episode 4, if that's all right now. So our roles rotate again. Dan, you're the admin. I'm playing the residents in the village, and Mario, you're back as the prisoner for the final episode.
In this case, the administrator is a pair of twins, identical twins. And they are both known as number 2. So they are high fashion, young, attractive women. And they are, their demeanor is haughty and arrogant. And we had described the first one as ruthless, but I think there's a streak of cruelty here. Does that sound okay? Everyone okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Do I pick the episode prompt?
Yeah, you picked the episode prompt. There's only one left.
Oh yeah,
prisoner attempts to directly undermine the administrator. Okay.
Perfect.
I wonder if I have an idea for a location which maybe feeds into that prompt, which might be like a courthouse, something like that. Someone is under trial for something.
Oh, that's good.
Um,
And 6 is like the defense attorney or something.
I mean, I think maybe it's something like the charge is like, I don't know, bringing the village into disrepute or something, and maybe the number 6 is the prosecutor. So being put in a job where he has to punish someone for doing what he has been doing all along.
Yeah.
If that sounds good, Mario.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is what the play was actually preparing us for.
Yes. So.
Okay, so Oh, did we say which number was accused
We didn't.
of? What was it? Disturbing the village's peace or something like that? I forgot the
I
wording.
said bringing the village into disrepute, I think, which is, who knows what that really means.
Is number 2 the judge or the defendant, defense attorney, or something else? Maybe there are 3 judges, and it's NPCs from before, residents from before. So like the maintenance worker, the groundskeeper, and the architect are all the judges.
Okay, yeah.
I think this time, surprisingly, number 6 is a little bit more prepared. Last episode, I referenced some sort of like code or guidebook or something like that. And that's like that. It's pretty much a tome. It's like way too big with all the rules and stuff like that. And it's just something number 6 is waving around, like gesturing with all the time. And I say, it is outrageous how long we had to look upon such bad behavior. We have this guidebook for a reason, and that reason is so that the peace and the integrity of this village is guaranteed. How are we to how could we expect a society to work if we can't rely on these very basics?
I think the administrator is going to play the defense attorney here, and she's going to say, did we decide on who the defendant is? Sorry, I missed it.
Who did we
You
decide
haven't
were the
seen
judges
77?
again? Or
Yeah.
number 5, number 72, and number 17, was it?
I need to
5,
look at it
17,
now.
and 5, 17, and 13 were the judges.
Okay. So maybe our hostess is in the dock, number
Oh,
77, for maybe serving alcohol or something like that under the counter.
yeah. Here we go. Yes, the hostess has served, number 77 has served this community for many, many years and has been loyal throughout. Isn't it possible that she did not know what she was doing? That in fact, someone else had put her up to this.
That would be even worse, because that would mean that against our very codex, this person would be able to manipulate it under the watchful eyes of this village administration. Do you mean you are questioning the authority of the administration by trying to wash the sins of 77?
I would like to remind opposing counsel that the administration itself is not under trial here, but only the guilt or innocence. We are seeking only the guilt or innocence of number 77. The jury.
And I think number 17, as one of the judges, says, well, we of course may use any the guilt of any other party involved may of course be used by either counsel to prove their case. While no one else is on trial, if someone else committed the crime, that would of course free your client. Number 2.
Be that as it may, I would like to establish that based on her character alone, the hostess was incapable of committing such a heinous act as to serve an illegal beverages to the residents of the village.
Objection, Your Honor. Number 2 is implying that number 77 is held to the same standards as number 1 is. Therefore, number 2 is saying that number 77 would be incapable of wrongdoing, which is per codex only attributed to number 1.
If number 6 had read the codex, they would know that number 1 is not mentioned or referred to, that unlike other so-called democracies around the world, in this, some of us are above the law.
Objection, Your Honor. Apparently, number 2 did not read the Codex of 1977, in which number 1 was still included in the Codex.
As delightful as it would be, counsels, to continue an argument about what the law was in previous years, we must, unless the timing of this crime was in 1977, it is subject to our current laws. But I suppose a defense of number 77 could be successful if it proved that she was in fact number 1. But that's as much as we can say on the topic.
So I'm addressing number 77 directly. Have you been, or do you plan to be number 1 at any point of time?
Like, you do not need to answer that.
I mean, who doesn't want to be in charge? That's all I'll say.
Objection. I find that is a questionable statement to say, since we all very much know that number 1 is out of the reach of our capabilities.
Well, I suppose you've answered your own question then, number 6, have you?
No, because number 77 is on trial for wrongdoing and ignoring our rules. Therefore, there could be it could be that number 77 thinks they should be actually number 1 instead of number 77, which would prove the point of her guilt.
I think he might have you there, number 2. My legal reasoning isn't up to this, but
the twins switch now. So the one twin sits and the other twin steps up, and she says, the very integrity of our village is on trial here. The very integrity of our community. By questioning the laws, by introducing such confusion into this, you are confusion into these proceedings. You are contributing and creating far greater strife than 77 ever did. In fact, we have proof that 77 took possession of the beverages from the loading docks only with complete innocence, not recognizing, not knowing, not even realizing that those beverages were tainted. So who among us knew that these beverages were in fact alcoholic? It must have been someone working at the docks. I contend that this trial be declared a mistrial because number 13 himself was the one who switched the beverages.
And number 13 is one of the judges, right?
Yes.
So
it's a small village.
I mean,
Objection, Your Honor.
I certainly object to being accused by defense counsel to get her client off the hook. We all know that the last person aboard that ship was in fact the prosecution.
Objection, Your Honor. Not in the way that there could have been an involvement, but in the way in which number 2 suggests that the sheer lack of knowledge would prove you innocent, which I think is one of the most dangerous and heinous statements we ever had to be witnesses of. If it were so that the lack of knowledge would prove you innocent, we could run around and do whatever we wanted, which is clearly not the intent of our society, and would, in the contrary, endanger the whole village. That would lead to arson, to murder, to not yet known crimes in the future, if it were so. Therefore, I would suggest that alongside number 77, we we have to prosecute against number 2, both of them.
I mean, if number 2 is ultimately responsible for the village and everything that occurs in it, then I think you have a point. You have a point. We're going to discuss in camera and come back to you with a decision shortly. Do we think that's segment A? Is that enough cats among the pigeons, or what do you think?
It feels we're halfway into 7B already, so yes.
Yeah. I don't know if this is compliance or defiance. I mean, it's the whole setup seems designed to create muddy the waters. What do you guys feel?
No, I was very much focused on the prompt and just like went with it. So,
Dan, any thoughts on compliance or defiance?
It feels like you are playing along with is what's standing out to me under compliance. So it wasn't like you were trying to get out of these responsibilities to be the prosecutor. So that by in a sense, by complying,
yeah,
you were trying to.
No one said this whole court is out of order, right?
Right.
Okay, so let's go with defiance.
Compliance. Isn't it compliance?
Sorry, compliance, yes. So increase control by 1, increase independence by 1, and lower surveillance by 1. So escape is once more possible. So yeah, I think we can maybe take a break before jumping into segment.
Oh,
B.
wow. Gosh, time flies.
Time flies, yeah. Can we say 5 minutes?
Sounds
Sure.
good.
Okay,
See you then.
cool. Okay. So before we go into segment B, Mario as the prisoner, when control has increased by 1, you get to select a narrative element, either 1 from the episode 4 row or 2 from a previous row.
And it's this under surveillance, right?
Yeah,
So,
under those narrative elements, yeah.
What? The villain and the prisoner begin to physically merge? What? Does anybody have an example for that?
I don't remember. I don't have any great ideas for physically merging. Dan, anything? I do. Given that there's twins who are the administrator, that kind of body swap one seems rife for shenanigans. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I just because it is like the wildest of the opportunities, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm happy to take that one.
And also our behavior, now that we've hit the max control of 6, the prisoner is seen by the administrator as a social threat requiring the most extreme measures. Residents ask, what is authority? Who is in control? A living surreality, the secrets of the village are close, everything implodes. So yeah, maybe this trial and the constant newspaper updates is kind of tearing people's faith in the system apart.
Okay, anybody got an idea where
Are we still in the
the
trial, or are
court
we
be?
gonna wrap up the trial?
Um, yeah, maybe there's a mistrial, and there'll be a new panel of judges brought in, and maybe new counsel. But now the kind of question is open as to who is going to be on trial for the second time. Maybe it'll be number 2. Maybe it'll be number 6. Maybe, who knows? So there's that's where I'd be angling, but I don't know, Mari. Do you think
No, I
there's a
like
leg?
that. Maybe we could say it's like some sort of like revision, but the logic of revision doesn't really apply. So it could be like everybody could be swapped. And not necessarily 77 is a trial. Maybe it's indeed number 13 has been accused of something, and I wanted the judge maybe to be masked or something this time. Because they
Same
are a
masks.
higher. Yeah.
The same mask, yeah. I mean, we have the props already, so why
Right.
plug for
Gotta
new
get
ones?
some.
Yeah. Um, do you think if the prisoner is seen by the administrator as a social threat, maybe the prosecution is one of the number 2 twins and the defendant is another one, but we're a little bit unsure whether it's the other twin or number 6 who's on
Interesting.
trial.
Yeah, I mean, or maybe, yeah, one is the prosecutor and one is the defendant,
Yeah.
and 6 is the defense attorney.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay,
or
yeah.
or the
But
judge,
sometimes number 6 isn't sure whether they're in the dock or the defense attorney, right?
or I mean, or the judge. It's 6 end up in the judge's seat.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah, I think that would be interesting, having to wear the masks and everything. Uh, and then we just see like outside. Where is the core? Probably in like the town hall or something. Like one room is like reassembled. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
and then outside there are basically two lines in front of like two of the screens we've seen where there were like updates on persons and stuff like that. And there's like two screens with live updates about what's happening in the courtroom. And there's like one uh one group that is like sort of like leaning towards the defense, and one group that is leaning towards the other side, something like that, so that we can see there's like something going on within the village already.
Um, Dan, are you doing the cross examination as one of the administrators?
Yes, so I will be the prosecutor, and I will say, from the outset, number 2 has number 2 has shirked her responsibility, and has become obsessed with defending residents of the town and not pursuing the true purpose of the work of the village.
I think there's like murmurings from the gallery, that's quite the accusation.
How are your accusations justified? What evidence can you prove, like bring forward? Sorry.
This whole courtroom didn't even exist before this number 2 took the chair. This courtroom, we needed no courtroom because we had a single purpose in mind. And it had nothing to do with whatever this is doing, whatever this court is doing. And now we have become distracted, prosecuting, encouraging others to prosecute members of the village.
I don't see a difference there. That's what's been happening all along. It's just like now it's way more time intense. Otherwise, I feel the drones have been way more efficient. And I turn towards the other judges and I say, yeah, why do we have a court and don't let the drones do their job?
You are making my argument for me, number 6. We had a mechanism, but number 2 chose to forego the use of our security system. Number 2 chose to instantiate this court. Number 2 chose to dilute the purpose of the village. Our single-minded objective has become overrun with countless other concerns.
It's
You
what I've
alone,
been saying last trial. I say guilty.
You alone, Six, you alone can help us realize, bring the village to an end. You alone can release all of these people.
And I think the judges ask that number 6 be put in the witness stand, as this is a matter that he may give some evidence on.
Number 6. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Number 6. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but truth?
I swear I abide by the codex, if that's what you mean.
Number 6. Is it true that you arrived in this village 2 weeks ago?
I don't know, because there hasn't been any way to measure time. For me personally, I haven't been granted a watch yet.
She points to a screen, clicks a button. She clicks a remote that she has, and a screen shows you. And it's like everything that you've done in the village. And it starts to rewind. And there's a time code on it. And it's rewinding, and the time code is going back faster and faster, and it's following you, and you're moving, and we see your various attempts to escape, and the date clicks back, and we see it's been 14 days since you've arrived. Number 6, she says, is it true that before you arrived here, you had no knowledge of this village?
That is true. Otherwise, I probably would have killed myself before getting here. Oh, sorry, about lines. Did we have suicide? I can't see it. Okay.
No, we don't.
Yeah, no, otherwise I would have killed myself before getting here.
Is it true that you came here unwillingly?
Isn't that the case for all of us?
Answer the question, number 6.
Yes, very much so.
Would you not say that the purpose then, would you not surmise then, would you not guess then that the purpose of the village is to extract information from you and you alone?
I do not know the purpose of this prison colony.
Then let me enlighten you. We have long sought to understand why you chose to retire. And instead of simply answering the question, providing your superiors with the information you require, you have chosen to ignore our requests. Not only that, to throw them in our face.
Yes, and then the flight tickets with the wrong name and everything. Yes. Yeah, I just envisioned my life to go different ways.
I ask you again. Oh, go ahead.
And therefore, I thought, given enough physical space between me and the agency, the answering of the questions would have been obsolete.
I ask you again, do you not think that you then, therefore, are the sole reason this village exists?
No, that is hard to believe because, as far as I know, we had interrogation rooms back at the agency. So why would you build a whole village?
6, have you not been trained by our very own agency to avoid the effects of interrogation? Would you
Oh.
would you have not
Mhm.
seen through those ruses and all those techniques? You are our best agent.
So, in order to not make me opposing you guys, you built a village for me to just give freely some informations that I clearly didn't want to give. That that is pretty dumb.
Therefore, is it not you who are guilty of creating this nightmare for all of us involved?
Absolutely. I plead guilty and I demand to be expelled from this community.
There is only one way out, 6. One way. Tell us why you resigned.
I'm sorry, that is confidential.
We'll hold you in contempt, number 6, if you do not answer the question truthfully, as you have sworn.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe like a mere 30 escape attempts in 14 days would have told a story about how much I care about these rules. Um, but okay. Um, Still, it's very confidential. Uh, in fact, it's classified as only known by one person, which is me. Only to be known as by one person, which would be me. Yeah, you get it.
What did we decide what it means that the village and the prisoner begin to physically merge?
Oh, that is, even though I'm in the stand right now, I cannot remove my mask for some reason.
Oh, nice.
So yeah.
So do we think that is that kind of final act of defiance on the stand is a closing of segment B?
Yeah. Yeah, that is pretty much defines absolutely.
Mhm. Um, so do we maybe see the prisoner being taken from the court by one of our spotlight raptors?
Hmm.
Okay. So I'm increasing independence by 1. Control has nowhere higher to go. And yeah, uh, let's go to segment C. Um, any ideas, Dan, for how we frame this fever pitch? Maybe maybe we see agents of the village going back to the old ways, the ways that had been thought to be ineffective against the prisoner. Some actual interrogation. I don't know. What do you think,
Yeah,
Martin?
I wonder if the twins start to do a little good cop, bad cop thing, which doesn't really make any sense because they're the same. They look the same, so he's having trouble telling them apart, which is the good and which is the bad. But I wonder if, trying to think of like, does someone approach the prisoner with an opportunity to escape, to help him escape, because he hasn't had any help yet. And
Yeah,
there's
I
sort
think
of this.
yeah, we had that hint during the after party from number 17, right? Of
Right.
this crossword puzzle with a kind of a rendezvous. So maybe there's a resistance, or at least a different kind of a ploy
Yeah.
to spring him out of his jail cell. How does that sound, Mario? Are you thinking of an
I think
escape
that's
attempt?
pretty cool. Yeah. Something that needs to defy like all logics of physics or whatever.
Um, I mean, maybe in terms of the kind of good cop, bad cop, maybe we see one of them come in and there's something slightly different about them,
Right.
and you notice that it is like they there's something about uh, this number two that makes you think it's number 17. Maybe there's like a smell of peace or kind of freshly cut grass or something like
Oh,
that.
yeah. Yeah. Um, so, so maybe that one of the number twos is in there and she's, like, she's almost being seductive. Like she's saying, we could run away. We can get out of here. I know how to get us out. I know it's hard and I know you've been through a lot, but I appreciated your defending me in the court. We can try. I'm confident we can escape. You just have to follow me. And then 17 enters dressed like the other number two or something.
Oh, nice. Yeah. And I think just in terms of like the masks that I couldn't remove right now, it's just like I'm wearing this polite smile that the mask had, but the mask is gone, and for some reason the smile doesn't vanish, even though like the rest of the face clearly is telling that the prisoner is upset or like just frustrated and angry about the situation. It's just like the smile doesn't go away.
Yikes.
And I'm like, yeah, what the fuck took you so long? We could have been gone days ago.
I was obligated by my responsibility to the agency. I couldn't get out of it, but I see now we have to try. Oh, number two. I told you I would handle this part of the interrogation.
I think you have overstepped the mark as agreed. I will take things from here. Thank you very much.
No. It's unnecessary. Thank you. Your part is next.
And I think behind number 17's back, we see like a garden shears or a trowel or something like that. And um, maybe in that veiled 1960s way, we get like a shadow of the kind of fork being held up in the air, right?
Love it.
Um,
Mm.
and then I think the um, the kind of table and chairs at which the interrogation have been taking place slowly like submerge into the floor. Right.
Is
Uh,
does she dispatch number 2?
oh yeah, she has dispatch number 2. Yeah.
Okay, the one number 2, the
Yeah,
nice number 2,
the nice
okay.
number 2. I think the only kind of hint of that violence is like as the two of you and the kind of table is descending, there's like a little kind of puddle of blood dripping down, you know, and then you get the light up top is like shining down with this kind of macabre violence that you're leaving behind.
And then, like, once the tables and stuff disappear, there is a door handle appearing. And if, like, the prisoner, I go towards that door handle, just eager to get away from this place, and I open it, and all of a sudden, we're in the hatch maze. Like, I'm opening a door at the back of one of the statues, but it's like the statue couldn't possibly hold such a place
Nice.
inside. And then we step out, and the moment the door closes, like the handle disappears again.
Yeah.
How? What? No, forget. Like, lead the way. How can we escape here?
Yeah, and I think maybe we have a callback to our kind of episode 1 escape on the gondola. Was that my am I remembering correctly? The gondola on the stream from the gardens. So,
yeah, that was great.
After you.
Yeah. Okay. So, like, we jump into the gondolas. I tried it before. It's not working.
And number 17 taps the kind of number 2 lapel that she has on as part of her disguise. And this will avoid any such recurrence.
Okay. And how do we get rid of the drones? And we see like a swarm coming because I'm not where I'm supposed to be.
Well, you're under my care. Obviously, they will not act against number 2. Though having set up everything so wonderfully for the escape, I wonder how it inevitably comes to fail. Something new in the arsenal, perhaps, or what? Any ideas, Dan?
I think actually, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
In terms of the game, how do we, is like this the end, or is there a
so there's the next section is Fallout, which is basically the kind of climax or the resolution of the game. So we could kind of leave it there, right? We could leave that cliffhanger, as it were, break the rules slightly and go straight to the Fallout.
I mean, it's been an escape, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if we just the parting shot is them kind of like her number 2 badge allows her to detach the gondola from its track or whatever it is on, and we see the other number 2 twin approaching, like in the swarm of drones, right, sort of in the midst of the swarm, or in the middle of the swarm of drones, walking towards them, but they're far away enough. I also think they get away. What occurred in my head is they get away, and someone shoots the number 2 twin, and it's whoever the previous administrator is that we're going to call back for this last Fallout scene. Yeah. So they eliminate that number 2, while number 6 and number 17 are getting away.
Okay. So yes. So for Fallout, the kind of finale. Okay, so this plan turns everything upside down in the last-ditch effort by all parties to break one another. The group picks a previous administrator. This character returns. So we should pick a previous administrator that we really like or we want to see return. We then collectively narrate a final confrontation between the prisoner and the combined forces of the village, the administrator, and the residents. The narration here need not make logical or chronological sense. The normal narrative control or final say on various story elements are not present here. Players are encouraged to use surreal and contradictory points. Disagreements allow for different versions of the story to take place in parallel. So yes, we kind of narrate some strange finale to our story. Do people have any preference for a final administrator?
I think either number 1 or 2 is fine. Like the first or the second, I'd say.
That's funny. I really liked your third one, Mario. But she seemed sort of more mastermindy than, and like had sort of a better understanding of everything that was going on. And was playing the biggest mind game with the prisoner.
Yeah.
But I don't know, Donna, did you have a preference?
Yeah. I kind of got the sense that she was playing like, instead of being completely, although managing the prisoner massively, was managing up more, right? Because of the donors, the committee that were on scene. So that makes a lot of sense. In terms of if there was someone coming back to solve this for one and for all, right?
Okay.
Mario, are you okay with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so here we go.
Okay.
Nice.
Some character keeper magic there.
That's pretty nice. Nicely done.
Okay, so yeah, collectively narrating a final confrontation between the prisoner and the combined forces against him. Anyone got any thoughts out of the gate? Anything they think needs to happen first?
I mean, I think the prisoner needs to wake up in the city, like near the town hall, somewhere in the city center, or even on the golf course, with people, like the whole village assembled, standing in a circle, pointing fingers.
I have an idea which kind of plays into that, which was like the whole village is arrayed against him, and he is like in the gondola, like it's a funeral boat. So it's arrayed with his worldly goods and flammables and combustibles, and everyone is dressed for a funeral, and he is kind of being pushed out to sea.
Nice.
I think he dies, or perceives that he dies, but then we see him wake up, and he wakes up in his own flat in wherever it was, London.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe surprised and confused until he leaves his flat and he starts to recognize people from the village around town. He's in London, but it's like
Yeah.
still the village, and people are he looks in sort of a newspaper dispenser, and it's the same village newspaper, and people are saying "be seeing you," and he notices that people are wearing numbered badges, and it's sort of like this you can escape but you can never escape kind of vibe.
I wonder if he is dressed in the same suit that he was in the day he resigned, and he has that resignation, the feeling of an envelope in his inside pocket, right? That he knows is the resignation letter.
And then there's two people standing on the side of the street, holding, like having a bunch of leaflets and stuff like that. And then they're like, once the prisoner passes them, they're saying, "Do you care to speak with us about or why you resigned?" Like, instead of like some sort of like religious, like they try to convert you, they just like asking him every time he walks past them for like, "Do you care to explain why you resigned?"
Right. Almost like they're doing a survey on the street or something like that.
Yeah.
Want to get it away from it all? Tell us why.
Yeah. Oh yes, exactly. Do you want to see like do, like the Jehovah's Witnesses type of like thing they have going on? But this is like, if you want to get away, if you want to get your life back, then you have to.
Yeah. You can. Everything can go back to normal if only you tell us why you want to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man. And then the prisoner goes, just like tries to find some sort of routine to not lose their mind, right? And then they go to, I think their favorite like corner store or something like that, and they address the person behind the counter and like with the regular name, and the person does not respond. And then we see number, I don't know, 68 or something like that, and it takes a while, and the prisoner calls out like their actual name like 5 or 6 times, and then, "I'd like to pay a number 68." And at that moment, like the person responds to it.
I wonder if the prisoner kind of dejectedly walks out of the store with a pint of milk or the newspaper or whatever he bought, and like there's this sudden realization, oh, I'm late for my bus, and the big red double decker comes up, the number 6, of course, and when he jumps on the bus, the conductor who's selling him his ticket is him. It's like a double of him.
Ooh.
And it's like, "Where are we going today, sir? Got anything nice planned?" All of these very friendly questions that.
And all the other passengers on the bus look just like him.
Oh.
Too. They look up from their papers.
And I think, he takes the newspaper out from under his arm, and like the headline is "Number 6 reveals reason for resignation."
Oh, nice. Yeah.
That is dark.
That is dark. I'm shocked and appalled. What do you think?
I mean, I feel like closing credits right there.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
he realized he hasn't escaped. He realizes he's trapped forever. We're sending the message he's trapped forever. I don't know. Is there anything else we can do to break this person?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a very good place to close this kind of just hopelessness and kind of
Oh,
inevitability.
one thing we could probably add to the beginning of this final scene is that we see on the nightstand that the forced administrator, like the supposed twin, is we see it like as they were like when they got married or something like that. A picture of them getting married on a nightstand.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Donna, does the game make room for the prisoner winning in a sense, or is it always supposed to be like,
Oh,
or it doesn't
we
prescribe?
had complete freedom in that final narration
Okay.
to make whatever ending we wanted, but I think uh,
We
we
hit
kind
it
of
out of the park. Yeah.
we so there are some kind of closing questions that we consider as a
Oh,
group
nice.
or individually, which I think are kind of interesting. Um, we can discuss and give our own answers to these. We obviously will, like any piece of art, I guess, we can disagree. Uh, so the questions are: what was the village? What was its final fate? How do you feel about the various characters? Who or what was control? Did anyone escape? Is escape possible? Um, so I don't know if anyone has any thoughts
I
on
mean, that
those.
makes me think, do we see 17 on a beach
Ooh.
somewhere? Like she played her role in this, so she got out.
Oh, so she played the prisoner. Oh, nice.
Hmm.
Yeah, she's yeah, like
Yeah, I mean some of what I'm thinking is like, does the prisoner even know why he resigned? Right. The
oh
reason
yeah,
no one could ever get this out of him is because he didn't even know himself. Right. Um, and maybe like that final thing we entered where like everyone on the bus, everyone on the number 6 is him. Like he is kind of in control of, or not in control, or
right.
he's kind of responsible at least for everything here.
And in a sense, when you said that, it made me think that each person on each version of him on the bus is a different reason for his resignation. And so, in a sense, he's kind of confessed because he's sort of acknowledged there's many different reasons. And I'm not sure which one was the straw that broke the camel's back, which one was the one that made me finally do it.
Yeah. So do you think like is the village just like a mental construction of his, a kind of a torturous device where he tries to figure that out, or do you think it is a real thing, or what?
Uh, I don't know. When you said he himself doesn't know, that kind of blew my mind. And it makes me wonder if the village is a manifestation of his inner turmoil, his inner conflict about maybe he didn't really want to resign and maybe he felt like he had to and he wasn't sure. And so what we saw was him trying to answer the question for himself. Maybe that's what you were getting at. Or he confessed to someone that he needed help trying to answer that question. And so the agency, as it often does, took things too far and it created this whole thing to try and help him answer this question. Whoa.
Well, Mario, any thoughts?
Yeah, I very much like where you're going with this. So that it's like pretty much a metaphor, but I think just the way we described it, I think um this could I think there's like it's probably not like one to one real, but it's what about if that is like just um what metaverse turns into, and then if you do not obey by the guidelines in order to keep your account or whatever, and keep your social life, you have to go through some sort of like positive reinforcement or like retribution camp or something like that, which is the village, where you're just like supposed to be practicing to be earnest and like open about motives or something like that. Um, so I think I'd like to walk away with that being like a possible dystopian future. Uh,
Oh yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, that's really interesting. I guess, any stars or moments that really stood out to you on the game before we close out?
I mean, I uh overall it's just like a great game with like amazing scenes. Um, and I wasn't really sure because there was so much gaslighting. It's basically gaslighting the game. Uh, and I think the third scene with the court, that was just like, yeah, where everything just like got surreal and turned against it and like defying any sort of like logic and not knowing, and that just like left me with a low-key feeling of like actually not really sure where like anything was going anymore. uh and therefore it felt very intense. And I think just in terms of like emotional uh impact, that was a highlight. Dan really got me there, so that was really cool.
How about you, Dan? Any
Um,
stars?
let's see. I really liked the scene that you two did at the after party where number two was really trying to dig into number six. I thought that was um illuminating. I really also liked some of the philosophical questions that we tried to dig into in the courtroom scene, that seemed on the one hand really interesting, like what is the nature of the rules of the village, and on the other hand completely superfluous, like this is totally irrelevant. So I really had a good time with that. uh, this game does a pretty good job of recreating the tension of the series, and I was really surprised. I thought it would be much harder to capture it, but I thought the
Yeah.
game did a really good job.
Um, what kind of struck me about my recent reviewing of it is that, there's this kind of dichotomy between like every escape attempt, no matter how brilliant, is doomed to failure by the most capricious act of fate, or just, the administrator knowing what's going on.
Right,
But the other side of that is, sometimes the prisoner, gets one over on them in a kind of brilliant way. Um, and I kind of felt like, although we're playing it and we know every attempt to escape will end in failure, I'm really happy with all those attempts that we had over the course of the two sessions, because they were like good attempts, right? And then they were
right.
just spoiled by these kind of arbitrary reversals, right? Um, so yeah, and that I think that the kind of double up we had in that supply boat, that was like, oh, but you do it again and you get further because of this, and it was
Right.
like, definitely something that that I liked. And yeah, all these administrators are going to live rent free in my head for now on. So we shall certainly, if I reintroduce them as NPCs in any campaign, there'll be a dark undertone. Awesome. Yeah. So I guess we can close and do maybe a quick debrief of recording. But yeah, great to play with you, and see you next time.